And to discuss all of this, here with me now, CBS political contributor and Republican strategist Lesie Sanchez. Next to her, CBSN political contributor and the former campaign manager for John McCain in 2008, Rick Davis. Rick, let's start with you.
Sure.
That interview, again, airing last night, has been called many things, including cringeworthy.
Yeah.
Your take on what we saw last night?
You know, look, I think there are back-to-back events that are starting to define the period of time we're coming into the convention. One was the announcement of Pence, which logistically was awkward at best, right? It wasn't the most well-orchestrated event. And then the announcement, which everyone's now counting words and how much time Trump spoke versus Pence, and then this 60 Minutes interview. And I think they all have a lot of similarities, which is, you know, it really doesn't matter who's on the stage or what else is going on around Donald Trump. It's all about Donald Trump. And I think that's the message coming into this convention. It's, you know, don't really care who the vice president is. In fact, you know, wasn't even that committed to begin with. And you know, the views exchanged on the 60 Minutes interview was, well, you know, I really don't care what, you know, Governor Pence's views were on the Iraq war. It's my views that matter. And so I think that, you know, this is the opportunity that the party has today to start a convention that's all about Donald Trump.
Lesie, this is, though, a man in Mike Pence who is diametrically opposed to Donald Trump's views on trade, on immigration. Does that not matter?
Not this election cycle.
Okay.
I think it's a short-term win. That's what a lot of critics are saying. He definitely represents what the modern version of the Republican Party was looking like, more inclusion. And if you think back to the first nights of the convention, you used to have Colonel Powell, for example, talking about the inclusion. We will always be the party of inclusion in the Republican Party. He was booed back in the 90s. So we've kind of come full circle in terms of thinking what the party's going to look like. But very much to Rick's point, this is an arranged marriage that doesn't really mean a lot with respect to how well they get along, as much as how much the top of the ticket is really the leadership style people are responding to, and that's ultimately where this election's headed.
So when Mike Pence says in that interview that our vision is exactly the same, what exactly is he talking about?
So I think that you got to look at the campaign and their strategy and what they're trying to accomplish with Pence is to reinforce the support that they're getting out of white males, especially older white males over 50 years of age. That's the core constituency of the Trump vote. And I would say the one piece that they do agree on is economic issues. I mean, Pence is well known as economic conservative, largest tax cut, you know, in the history of Indiana, which is saying a lot because Mitch Daniels, his predecessor, was a big tax cutter also. And before he raised taxes, then he cut them, and then he raised them again. But anyway, that's the vision, right? I mean, I'm going to take you to Washington on the backs of the white male voter to change Washington and to redo the economy. That's the basis of the Trump campaign going forward and up until this point in time. And Pence fits perfectly into that piece.
Is he also, Lesie, in Mike Pence, a man who can take, polling suggests right now that Donald Trump would receive between 75 and 8% of Republicans' votes, but that number needs to be in the 90s. At least for Donald Trump to win come November. Can Mike Pence help him get there?
Absolutely. I think you've talked to the delegates who are here now, a lot of them who were thinking about leaving early. They were doing their committee business, but really didn't want to stay and deal with kind of all the Trump phenomenon, have decided to stay. They want to give this a second chance. I think you're going to start to see more endorsements of outside groups that were waiting on the fence. So it is having that effect of bringing the coalition together. And I think very much to these points, look, the big umbrella issues of economic opportunity for everyone. That type of inclusion will work across the board for Republicans. It's not really the immigration movement you want to hear or the tone on that, but on the economic policies and national security particularly, I think you're going to have a lot of positives, even among conservative Democrats.
And yet this event for the 4 days, Rick, is about the optics as much as anything. And this convention will be notable for the absences as much as it is for who is here. The last two Republican nominees, the last two Republican presidents, the in-state Republican governor, many of the rising stars, all absent.
Yep.
What impact can that have?
Look, I mean, I think you mentioned it earlier, Josh. The idea here is to consolidate the Republican Party. You don't want to leave this convention with a frayed Republican Party, right? You don't have any more time now to repair that damage. And so the question is, did Mike Pence help that? Is the campaign messaging in the next 4 nights going to help that? Will Trump's speech himself reach out? His theme is unity. Part of that unity is probably Republican unity. Is that going to be compelling enough? Probably not. I mean, the bar's pretty high right now. If you're a Republican who is still withholding your total support for Donald Trump coming into this convention, there's probably not much going to happen here this week that's going to make you change your mind.
So, Lesie, 4 days from now, where do you think this party stands?
A bit more unified. I'd love to say it's great, kumbaya, but that's not it. I think it's going to be how well he deals with this national security issue, how measured it is, how much confidence it has. It comes down to how much confidence people give Donald Trump in being able to execute upon some of these ideas. They're willing to give him the benefit of the doubt that he'll fix out the details, like he'll let Pence figure that out. He'll let Newt work with him on dealing with Congress. But really, do they have the confidence he's going to have a measured approach in dealing with ISIS, dealing with growing our economy, all the big triggers that are really on the front of everybody's minds right now?
Away we go, you two. Rick Davis, Lesie Sanchez.
Let the fun begin.